Well, here we are, less than 24 hours left of this 4-year nightmare for some of us. Dream come true, I guess, for some of us. I remember when, well, we all remember the whole hat and everything. Trump's motto was, "Make America Great Again." His promise to all of the millions of people who voted for him, make America great again. And his promise in 2020 was to keep America great. We're going to keep America great. I have never remembered America being so not great. Millions of us are sitting on the edge of our seats, waiting to see what's going to happen over the next 24 hours. Our Capitol building looks like a militarized zone in a country that doesn't look like America. It looks like something from a scene on the news of a far away country. Something we never thought we would see in the United States of America under a democratic republic. This is the great America that 74 million people wanted to keep. So I thought today, in celebration of hopefully our last day of Trump in office, I would talk about all the things that Trump has accomplished over the last 4 years. A lot of people like to write in the comments of my As I See It videos on this channel, and when I was doing them for a couple months before I started this channel, on my other channel, there's a cut and paste meme that's going around where people who support Trump or Russian trolls, which I think it's the latter, like to cut and paste this long, long list of Trump accomplishments. Many of them are false, fake. They're not true. So today, I put together a list. I thought it would be a relatively short list of like his biggest accomplishments, but I started going down a rabbit hole and found all kinds of Trump accomplishments that are worth mentioning. So today let's talk about what Trump has accomplished in his 4 years in office under the promise, the guise of wanting to make America great again. Number one, nearly 400,000 COVID deaths. 400,000 people have died from this virus that he has minimized, that he has downplayed, that he has completely flubbered in his response to by largely ignoring scientists and doctors and going with his gut instinct about what to do. We've had more deaths from COVID than died in the Vietnam War and World War I put together. More people have died of COVID than in World War II. And 33 times more deaths than we had from H1N1 under Obama. And I remember when COVID first started and people comparing H1 to N1 and saying how horribly Biden and Obama handled H1N1 because there were 12,000 deaths. We're now at 400,000. A second is that the United States ranks 9th highest in the world for COVID deaths per million. COVID death rate per million, we rank 9th highest of all the countries. That means, think about that. And the countries that rank higher are like Bulgaria and Bosnia and Slovenia and Italy. Think about that. All those shithole third world countries that Trump talked about, we rank worse than them for COVID deaths per million. True story. That's a fact. Another Trump accomplishment, 4 years in office, is we've had the worst race riots since the civil rights movements of the 60s. We saw the longest and worst race riots than we have seen since the 1960s in the United States. And that's partly because we have a president who stokes this. He stokes division and he empowers white supremacists. Another Trump accomplishment, worst division and distrust between Americans than we've ever seen since before the Civil War. We have never seen Americans distrusting each other and being so angry at each other and just thinking so little of each other. The level of vitriol and hatred has not been this pronounced since before the Civil War. Trump has also created and sowed distrust in our electoral process despite zero evidence. Another of Trump's greatest accomplishments is the big lie. The big lie that the 2020 election was stolen from him and given to Joe Biden, despite losing 60 lawsuits all the way up to the Supreme Court, despite providing zero evidence in any of those lawsuits that could help his case. Despite being able to provide zero evidence, Donald Trump has led millions of people to believe that the election was stolen. And that's a lie. Great accomplishment, right? I mean, wow. Getting millions of people brainwashed enough to believe your lie despite evidence, it's a pretty big accomplishment. Another of Trump's accomplishments is that we had the first domestic attack on our Capitol building in history. The Capitol building was attacked one other time in American history, and that was in 1814 during the War of 1812, and it was attacked by the invading British. So when we were fighting the British in 1812, they attacked the Capitol building in 1814. We have never seen an attack like that on any of our symbols of freedom and democracy than we have seen this year under this president. That's what this is all what President Trump has given us. These are his accomplishments. Donald Trump has also succeeded in separating more than 500 children from their parents and not knowing how to reunite them. They don't know where the parents are. They don't know who the parents are. We have 500 children on our border who are in cages and we can't find their parents. It's bad enough that he split those kids from their parents for the crimes of their parents of trying to cross the border illegally. But to be so inept, to not have a plan in place for being able to unite them eventually. Really? That's a lot of winning, right? That's a lot of winning. How inept do you have to be to rip a kid, a baby, from the arms of a parent with no way to be able to unite them eventually? That's the great America that you wanted? Congratulations, you got it. Another of Trump's accomplishments in 4 years in office, the worst jobs record of any president in history. Donald Trump will become the first post-World War II president to see employment fall during his presidency. And a lot of people are like, yeah, COVID, oh my gosh, Democrats wanted to close everything down, liberals, blah, blah, blah. If we had had someone who properly handled the pandemic and who had done the right thing from the beginning, closing everything down, mandating masks, we could have been well on our way to recovery by now. But no, he didn't do that. He failed grossly. And that caused the worst job record of any president. So he promised you all jobs, right? Oh, we're going to close down the borders. We're going to build a wall, which he didn't do. That's another of his accomplishments. He didn't build the wall, by the way. Nope, didn't build a wall. He repaired some sections of the wall. I think there's only like less than 40 miles. Don't quote me on that. I can't remember the exact number. But less than 50 miles of new wall was built. And those repairs that he did do and the new wall that he did build, guess what? It wasn't paid for by Mexico. It was paid for by you. Billions of dollars went into that wall, taken out of the military budget, paid for by you when he promised you Mexico was going to pay for it. So even with a wall and we're anti-immigration and we're going to deter people from coming across the border by taking their kids away, even despite all of that, he lost more jobs than any president. We're talking about the wall. Another one of his accomplishments that he just came through on for you, your anti-immigration stance. Immigration actually continued to rise through his presidency. Yep, didn't fall. It continued to rise through the Trump presidency. So another way, he completely failed. He failed. Another one of his great accomplishments is he got richer. That's right. By putting the Secret Service up in expensive rooms at Mar-a-Lago every time he went to play golf, which, by the way, he probably played golf more than any other president in history. Remember when he used to insult Barack Obama for going to play golf every once in a while? Trump has paid more golf than any president. So that's another accomplishment, right? But every time he went to play golf at his resort in Florida, he had to put up his entire staff in the Secret Service in rooms, and he got paid. So all these people who say he's a great man because he gave up his income, his presidential income, which is like $400,000, he made that back in one weekend, taking the Secret Service to a golf resort that he owns. So bookings not only in his golf resort, but in his hotels, by visiting ambassadors and visiting politicians and all of that. He made a lot of money while he was in office. Yes, he did. So he enriched himself through all his bookings, enriching himself through his presidency. So I guess you can consider that a great accomplishment. Another one of Trump's great accomplishments is costing the Americans, and especially American farmers, billions of dollars in an unnecessary trade war with China. Don't know why he decided that China needed to pay. I guess maybe it was the pandemic, or did it start before the pandemic? I don't know. But his crazy and unnecessary trade war with China cost Americans billions of dollars. So much so, in fact, that right before the election, he started sending out checks, subsidy checks to farmers, because he screwed them so bad with this trade war with China. So China wasn't buying farm goods from American farmers anymore because of this trade war. Yeah, that's a true story. Farmers weren't making money because Trump, in a temper tantrum, decided to start a trade war. So they were losing money. So right before the election, he sent them checks. Want to talk about welfare? You want to talk about socialism? That's a great accomplishment, right? I'm going to screw up capitalism. I'm going to screw up the market so bad. But then I'm just going to take money and give it away through welfare, through entitlements. True story. Another one of Trump's greatest accomplishments is that his allies, aides, and donors had more arrests and indictments than any other president, I believe, in history. 14 of Trump's closest allies and aides and staff were arrested and indicted for everything from lying to lawmakers about Russian interference in his election in 2016, to defrauding people by taking money to build a wall that he said Mexico was going to pay for. That was Steve Bannon. To lying to the FBI, Mike Flynn, about interactions with Russia. And if you want to read everyone who was arrested and why, there's articles and sources in this video below. So yeah, more arrests and indictments, I believe, than in any other president or any other modern day president. You are who you hang out with, right? What's that? You sleep with the dogs, you're going to get fleas? Honest people don't hang out with crooks and criminals. Another one of Trump's greatest accomplishments is that we have gone from being a world leader, a friend, an ally, someone that people wanted to work with, to the laughingstock of the world. There's another article below with a chart that shows how little the world trusts Putin. World leaders trust Putin more than they trust Donald Trump. All of these people who voted for Donald Trump because they think he's going to make us strong, we are the laughingstock of the world. That's what Donald Trump has made us. That's what you who have voted for him have made us in 4 years. People trust us less than Vladimir Putin, who poisoned an adversary. And read the articles about where they held a trial for him in a police station. You wanna know a little bit about how Putin operates? Just read some recent articles about this guy, I can't remember his name, who they extradited back to Russia after they poisoned him and he almost died just because he ran against him. They trust that guy more than they trust Trump. Another one of Trump's greatest accomplishments, and we're bouncing around a little bit, and you might hear we're having a big windstorm here in my RV in the desert. So you might hear that. You might see a little rocking. Another one of Trump's greatest accomplishments is that we just recently had the largest Russian hack on our security, government, military than we have ever seen before. The largest Russian hack of all of our systems, security and military, than we have ever seen before. And Trump's never even really talked about it. Or he did, and he said it might be China. Our president allowed that to happen. We still don't know the extent of it. We still don't know how much information and how much power they're going to get from that information, from what they stole in that hack. That's not good. Another one of Trump's greatest accomplishments is Russians felt free to put bounties on the heads of American soldiers. Can't imagine why anybody in the military would still support this guy. Many people in the insurrection at the Capitol were former military. Some current military were finding out. National Guard troops are getting removed for ties to right-wing terrorist groups. I'm not even going to use the M word. Military needs to stop using the M word. They are not militias. They are terrorist organizations, homegrown terrorist organizations. Many of these are former and current, apparently, military who are supporting Donald Trump, despite the fact that he allowed Russia to put bounties on the heads of American troops abroad. That's another fact. It's been proven. We have evidence. Russians were paying Afghani troops $10,000 for every American they killed. Trump never said a word. Making America great again. Woohoo! Way to go, veterans. Way to go, troops. He just let Russia kill them without a word. To you or to Russia. Oh, and this is my favorite of all Trump accomplishments. Well, not really. There's a lot. But what is Republicans' excuse always? Whenever the Democrats want to pass something that's going to help the American people, whether it's affordable health care or whether it's $2,000 checks for COVID relief instead of $600, what's the number one excuse Republicans always give? We can't afford it. We don't have the money. What about the deficit? They cry. What about the deficit? Here's a fun fact. The deficit always goes down under Democratic presidents. Yeah, that's right. The money we owe goes down, including to China, under Democratic presidents. Case in point, at the end of the Obama administration in 2015, the national deficit was $439 billion. Any guesses what it is now? At the end of 2020, how much do you think that went up or down? $3.7 trillion. That's right. Donald Trump increased the United States deficit by, what is that, eightfold? That's got to be eightfold, right? Yeah. Donald Trump took the federal deficit, which Obama had at its lowest amount since 2007, right when the other Republican got out of office. He got it down to $437 billion, and in just 4 years, Trump increased the federal deficit to $3.7 trillion. Where did all that money go if it didn't go to you? If it didn't go, I mean, this is a Republican president, right? He doesn't believe in entitlements. He doesn't believe in giving money to welfare queens, right? So where did $3.7 trillion go? Bailing out farmers might be part of it. And sure, there is a lot that goes into a deficit, the money that we borrow, right? There's a lot that goes into that. A poor economy, a pandemic, losing jobs, there's all kinds of things that go into it. But the bottom line is the president is responsible for managing all of those things that affect the deficit. And he managed them poorly. And so the deficit, like it does under most Republican presidents, spiraled out of control. Biden will come in and it'll probably go down again. That's the cycle. And the final, I think the final thought that I want to leave us on this is, tongue-in-cheek, sarcastic, of course, on Trump's, although these are accomplishments. They're horrible accomplishments. They're nothing to brag about, but they are, I guess, accomplishments. Is that the right word? But this is actually what Trump has done. This is what Trump has given us in 4 years. And the final one that I'm going to leave you with, which I think is the most profound of all, the one that's going to take the longest to deal with and to face and to fix, is that he showed us our ugly side. Donald Trump showed us the shadow, dark, evil side of America. The side that I think many of us, especially the liberals who maybe are idealists, want to believe that people are good. Donald Trump showed us that yeah, I don't know. Are people really good? We've got white supremacists and Nazis storming the Capitol with the intent on harming people, kidnapping, murder, hanging the vice president. We've got people running around in shirts that say, that symbol that says 6 million was not enough, who believe that during the Hitler's Holocaust, that the 6 million people he murdered was not enough. What kind of a monster believes that and feels so emboldened in that belief to wear it on his shirt? Donald Trump showed us the ugly. We're wounded. We're damaged. We have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to do. Not just the people who believe Trump's lies, not just the people who believe that 6 million were not enough, but all of us. I watched a video earlier, again, talk about Bo, I'm going to talk about him a lot, and he talked about how we have been too lazy and too empathetic. And that is the truth. I've said before in other videos, democracy is not a freaking spectator sport. We are all, in some way, shape, or form, responsible for this. We all need to start participating in our democracy. Get more involved, speak truth to power, use your voice when you can. I'm going to talk more about that in the days to come. I want to share some tools. I was talking with a good friend earlier about how do we talk truth to power? How do we talk truth to lies without blaming and shaming and making them feel like they're attacked? So I'm going to talk about some of those things in future videos. But these are the list of things. Donald Trump promised to make America great again. He hasn't. He's shown us our weaknesses. He's shown us our faults. He's highlighted the worst of humanity that still is among us. And he's shown us what work still needs to be done. We have a lot of work to do. We have 4 years. The 2024 presidential election is going to be nuts. We have to work. Boots on the ground, voices out, loud and clear. We have a lot of work to do. Trump has, in all of these ways, just made a mockery out of our country and our Constitution. And our people, has made a mockery out of us. And I hope this list helps you see. You know what? Sure, there were some economic things that he did that some economists say actually did good for growth in the economy and things like that. So, okay, fine. You know what? But, if I murder 6 million people and, that means everybody gets a job, that's not equal. False equivalency there. It doesn't matter. He has done far more damage that is going to take years, maybe decades, to undo, to justify anything that might even be remotely looking like a real accomplishment in the pro side. Does that make sense? What did I leave out? What other things has Donald Trump done to our society that I'll say accomplishments loosely. What other accomplishments based on fact? That's why I'm afraid to say this, because I'm going to get that cut and pasted list of things that aren't true. But what did I leave out? How about that? Leave your comments below. Good luck, everybody. We have less than 24 hours from the time I'm shooting this. I know we're all on the edge of our seat. I can literally feel like a collective holding of our breath. See you on the other side. Take care.